Final Fantasy VII Remake is a great game. So many great things about it. I can't compliment the effort enough. But there is a few flaws that kind of ruined the experience for me. So if you're a purist, right, or you're the complete opposite of a purist, you may not like this video, but it's an opinion nonetheless, and I want to get it off my chest. Like I said, so much is done right in this game. The battle system. I haven't played an RPG with such a great battle system in a while. But then again, I haven't played too many. It's fluid. It's you got classic and you got new in there. You have the ATB system where you cannot just put any command as you will, but you have to build up your ATB. And the shortcuts so you can go between and rotate between characters is seamless. Honestly, once you get the hang of it, it's pretty enjoyable. And you always have weapon skills that can kind of update and change your strategies in your combat. The material system, it's just enough of old and it's familiar, but it's easier to level up and experience. So it's a nice throwback to those that enjoyed the original game. Now, I loved the dungeons in Final Fantasy VII Remake because each dungeon has its own unique mechanisms. All right, and I'm gonna have some spoilers in here, so if you don't want any spoilers, don't watch this right now because I'm gonna spoil a lot as I go through this. One of the dungeons that stick out with me is when you're with Aerith and you're going through, I think it's the destroyed freeway or subway or something like that. And there's these arm mechanisms, which is also, again, a throwback to the original Final Fantasy VII, where you have, when you're on your way to Wall Market and there's that big metal robotic arm, right? But you can actually interact with them, and it makes for a nice dungeon, which gives it a little bit of uniqueness. And that goes for all dungeons. They all seem like their own little game, which made the experience so much fun. The graphics are just breathtaking. The characters, they don't have those dead eyes that I hate in video games so much. They feel alive. When you're just standing there idly and their eyes are moving around, it gives them that extra layer of realism. I just love it. And the chemistry between the people, whether they're controllable characters or what do you call NPCs? Is that what they're called? The non-controllable characters. It's just they feel so alive. And again, the chemistry between the characters themselves is just amazing. I love the fleshing out of Wedge, Jesse, and Biggs, but they did ruin it at some point, which I'm going to get to later. But giving them that extra time and developing them was a nice touch. Um, the development in the characters themselves, like I like when Cloud and Aerith, they're awkwardly trying to give each other high fives, and eventually, when you finish a portion of the game, they're finally in sync and they give each other a high five, which was beautiful. I like that. Barrett being a complete asshole, and finally in the end of the game, kind of taking a liking to Cloud was nice. And I like how they represented his ambition and his fire and his eagerness, and he's just a hothead, right? They embodied that perfectly in him. The highlight of the game, before I start getting into the negatives, was Wall Market. That honestly, that was the price of admission right there. Don Corneo is his name. When you finally meet him, it's just fantastic, and it really balances between not being too silly and just enough of a villain to enjoy. It was just incredible. And Wall Market as a whole, and the characters they introduced, Madame M and whatever the guy that's in charge of the honeybee club, whatever it's called, I forget his name. It's just fantastic. Oh, I enjoyed that part so much. Now, to the negatives. I really didn't like whenever the game tried to go off the story. Whenever the game tried to go off the original story, it fell flat on its face, in my opinion. And I started to see hints of this when you went on the Jesse mission, the side mission, which is an original story. It's an original mission. It's not an original to the remake, anyways. It's not in the original Final Fantasy VII. When you have to take Jessie on some kind of mission in a Shinra base, and she's visiting her family on the top of her plate, or on the top of the Midgar, one of the Midgar plates. And at first I was like, oh, pretty cool. We're gonna flesh out Jessie's character, get to know her parents, which you did. You realize that her father has got Mako disease or Mako poisoning, Mako, whatever you pronounce it, right? But I saw a hint of a flaw that I knew it was coming, but I didn't want to because I was enjoying the game so much. Is this fucking character right here, which I hated so much. So, to give you the background, you're driving your motorcycle to Jesse's place. I think Wedge and Biggs are with you. I don't remember. And you're driving to the top plate, and you're avoiding the Shinra police, the patrol on the highway. And then this fucker, just like a cliche anime, oh wow, how interesting. Let's dance, Cloud. My life has been so boring up to this point, which I cringed so much at that part, but I let it pass because, okay, maybe this is the only cringe part we're going to get in this game. No, it turns out after you defeat him on the highway, you bump into him again in another not so great portion of the game, where you're invading or you're going on a secret mission to, I don't know what with Jesse. I think you're like going to get explosive materials or something, or some kind of equipment for the mission. And then you're completely surrounded by Shinra soldiers and robots and Shinra technology, and there's absolutely no way you can get out of this mess. I mean, for crying out loud, Zack, as great as he was, he couldn't take on a complete Shinra army. That's how he died in the previous games. But no, Cloud and Jesse and Biggs, they turned into one joke of a mission, and such an anime cliche that I hated so much. And then this fucker again, whatever his name is on the screen, comes out of nowhere and, no, Cloud is mine. I must fight him. So you have another battle with this guy. And then after you defeat him, he gives one of those generic speeches, I guess, or generic actions where the Shinra army is about to take out Cloud and his gang, but he saves the day all of a sudden. The person that's been chasing you on the highway and you fought with, I just don't get anime cliches, man. I don't get that part of Japanese culture at all. So sorry if you're offended. Anyways, that's something I didn't like in the game, but I let it pass. The Whispers. The Whispers, I was giving them a chance throughout the beginning of the game and the middle portion of the game because they were mysterious enough that kept me intrigued. Although it was pretty heavy-handed that it had something to do with fate and that they were some kind of destiny, like they wanted whatever destiny, whatever fate had in plan for you was going to happen. I think they were kind of heavy-handed. That was obvious if you're paying attention. But when you get to the end of the game and you have that Arbiters of Fate moment, right at the end of Midgar, where in the original game you're leaving Midgar, that was just stupid. I don't know, it doesn't fit in the story well for me. There's enough convoluted stuff that happens in Final Fantasy VII, and I can appreciate if you want to build and make your own unique story or take on Final Fantasy. But to add unnecessary elements just makes the whole thing cheap and uninteresting, and it kind of kills everything else in the story. Like, you already have Sephiroth, you already have the Genova, you already have the side or the mini villains like Professor Hojo and the Turks and Rufus, and there's enough going on without adding the stupid Arbiters of Fate plot that has no place in the story, in my opinion. And it's to the point where I don't know if I want to continue playing the rest of the games until they all come out at once. It just took that much away from the story for me. It's just completely uninteresting. And it really takes away from the story. Which brings me to my final point. The people that die in this game, and spoiler alert, people die in this game just for them to come back in the fucking end of the game. Why? Why? They had such strong impact on some characters' development. They had such strong impact. Like, let me give you an example. Biggs, right? He kind of paves that way to why Cloud gets into the orphanage and why he becomes so interested in the orphanage, especially, what is the movie called? Whatever the Final Fantasy VII movie that came out almost a decade ago. And you see why Cloud is in charge of the orphanage, or the children love Cloud, right? Because of Biggs, which was a sweet and awesome story. That was an amazing background story for Biggs. And his dying wishes is that you take care of the children in the orphanage. And then at the end of the game, all of that is undone. Bullshit. Right? He was an amazing character that allowed some growth for Cloud, and he just took it away like that. Stupid. Right? And it's implied that Jesse and Wedge are still alive. Which, again, just keep them dead. It would have been better for Barrett's development, but no. Barrett himself, right? He dies, which I thought was an awesome nod to the original script. For those who don't know, Barrett was planned to be killed in the original Final Fantasy when they were writing the script before the game was even released in the 1990s. But they didn't think it had enough impact on Cloud, so they switched to Aerith. So when Sephiroth killed Barrett, I thought, whoa, I did not expect that. And whoa, I actually like Barrett. And this is definitely going to be impactful on the party. But no, they undo that. As soon as you, whatever you do, I forget what you did after that. You fought Genova, I think? Yeah, the Genova fight. Undone. He comes back to life. The Arbiters of Fate bring him back to life. I don't know. I'm not saying I would want Barrett to die, but geez, if you're gonna kill characters and you're gonna build up and complete their arcs in some way or form, at least have the balls to continue down that route and stop trying to pander to your fans. All right. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say about that. And Final Fantasy VII Remake is a great game, and I do want to play the rest of the games, but I'm gonna hold out because I'm not happy. I see the flaws. I see the flaws right now. And I don't think I'm going to enjoy the rest of the story. I think there are going to be too many plots that just ruined the experience for me. Kind of like Game of Thrones, where you saw the hints in season 5, 6, 7. The hints were there that this is not going to get better, it's going to get worse. I'm seeing those same things. But anyways, that's my opinion. If you don't like it, so what? Put your blind fanboyism aside. Bye-bye.